I'm Steve Walker Duncan, and I'm on a quest. As a professional chef for 25 years and an instructor at the Cowichan College Culinary Arts program, I truly believe we have some of the best food in the world right here on the West Coast. Join me in discovering some of these culinary treasures. This week, I'm on my way to the Cowichan Valley, where I'm going to meet a young couple who are getting married. And they've set me a little bit of a challenge.
We want to do a vegetarian wedding dinner. We're both vegetarians.
Okay.
We want to put on something special without needing meat at all.
Yeah.
Because you can make some really spectacular vegetarian food.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and we don't have to tell people it doesn't have meat in it. It's just a case of it's a great meal and it's great food, and it just happens not to have meat in it. So
And we thought if anyone could fulfill that, you probably could.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we can come up with some cool ideas for you and put some stuff together. Luckily for me, the Cowichan Valley is one of the best places I know of for good local food, and a great place to start is Duncan, the unofficial capital of the Cowichan, which hosts a Saturday farmers market. Nick, how are you doing?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Fabulous, fabulous stuff. What do you got here?
Well, we got fantastic bread from local grain. Yeah. So Makera Farms grows it for us. Then we bake it in our fantastic wood-fired oven, the old-fashioned way.
Wood-fired oven.
So I start at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's just a hobby.
Everything's local. It's all from the Cowichan Valley.
And that's kind of fun because that's more or less what we're promoting on the market too. Yeah.
Wow, that's fabulous. Good. The rhubarb looks fabulous.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Now you grow this yourself?
Yes, we do. We just inherited a farm that we found about half an acre of rhubarb underneath
Half an acre of rhubarb. That's going to be a lot.
Weeds.
I've got a wedding coming up in a week's time.
I can sell you 500 or 600 pounds.
I don't know if it's 500 or 600 pounds, but I could certainly do with 4 or 5 pounds.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be fabulous. I've been challenged to cater a vegetarian wedding using mainly local ingredients from the Cowichan Valley. Looking for inspiration, I'm visiting Deerholm Farm, home to a chef who has worked at top restaurants around the world. Mr. Bill Jones,
Steve,
how you doing, sir?
I'm good, how are you?
Good to see you. Bill is a renowned expert on Pacific Northwestern foods, especially wild mushrooms and forage plants, some of which he grows on the farm. So Bill, what do we got?
Well, the first thing we have here is something called miner's lettuce.
Okay, yeah.
And it really is an amazing, amazing vegetable. It's called miner's lettuce because it was one of the first greens that come up in the spring, and the miners who used to mine for gold here,
yep,
they would use it to kind of ward off scurvy because there's lots of vitamin C in it. And it's pretty mild.
Delicate. And
very delicate. We're using the whole thing for vegetables. You just take the whole thing off, and the stems are quite tender at the top.
So you eat the whole thing, stems,
you eat
flowers,
the whole thing. Yep.
Fabulous.
And then over here we have a couple of different things. This is called Purcell, which is a cross between parsley and celery.
Yeah. Okay.
We mix that in with our salad greens. And then right behind you there is the wasabi. So we're growing this for the roots.
So wasabi's not a green powder then?
No, that probably is more likely to be horseradish,
right,
with green food coloring.
Okay.
So this is the real wasabi, and we can dig it up and use the roots, but we do use the leaves as well for salads and for stir fries.
That's really very nice.
Yeah.
It's not that really overpowering, pungent flavor that the wasabi powder has. On top of all his other achievements, Bill also finds time to write cookbooks, 2 of which have won World Cookbook Awards. So I was delighted when he offered to cook for me.
So we're going to do a bit of a warm salad, warm dressing with our cool greens. I like to use a couple of different oils to saute with, rice bran oil, or I use grapeseed oil.
Yep.
Some beautiful Cowichan Valley garlic, some mushrooms, and then we'll just give it a quick toss. So morels, as you know, cook very quickly. Here is some bull kelp. Another fantastic Vancouver Island product.
Yep.
Another great source of that umami. We're going to throw some burdock in, and a little bit of miso paste.
So this is the fermented soybean paste?
Fermented soybean paste, and this again is all that kind of umami wonderfulness.
Yep.
Gonna put a little bit of water from my sink. And now that's gonna dissolve the miso, get everything going. You need a little bit of acidity for that.
Yeah.
White balsamic, but it can be any vinegar. A bit of sesame oil, a little bit of soy.
A little saltiness.
And that's all working away. Now everything else here is kind of bite-sized except for these big wasabi leaves we took from the garden. So we're just going to roll those up, do a little bit of a chiffonade. And now we can turn that off. Everything's all cooked, ready to go.
Just wilt those a touch in
Wilt
there.
them. We have a few sesame seeds here. We'll throw that in. We add a bit of a Cowichan Valley touch with a bit of hemp seed.
Nice.
Put it on the plate. And we're going to take a little bit of pickled ginger and we're going to shred it up on top. So you can mix it all in when you're ready to.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more of the gobo on top. So just dig in, grab some morel.
A little bit of morel,
usually get some seaweed.
Seaweed, a little bit of the ginger. Oh my goodness.
Tastes like Japan.
Awesome. Being on an island, we are never far from the ocean, which is a source of one of the most basic ingredients used in almost everything we cook: salt. Former chef Andrew Shepard now runs the Vancouver Island Salt Company, harvesting his unique salt from the sea. But it doesn't give up its salt easily.
So whenever you're good to go. Now if you
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we got to work out. Okay, Andrew, we've got ourselves a whole bunch of water. What's the next step?
We're just gonna run it through a quick cone filter.
Okay.
We've got it doubled up. Get all that silt out of there.
Okay, so this is going to get rid of any sediment, any silt, any bits of seaweed, whatever else ended up in there.
Any tiny baby crabs or anything fun like that we don't need. Anyways, we'll just drain it out a little. Before I found the filters, I was just really struggling with trying to pick stuff out of the salt. Switched to the filters and it's been no problem.
Right, yeah, because I guess it's easier to filter the liquid than it is to try and go through a dry product.
You got it, and then we just leave the tops right on, the screen top.
The ovens run on scrap wood and are kept burning for several days at a time, boiling off the water to leave the salt behind. 200 litres of seawater will eventually produce about 20 pounds of salt. So this is the final product.
This is it. You're looking at some unrefined, all-natural sea salt. And you look at that little bit of grayness,
Yeah.
and that's totally unique to our beach there with the magnesium content and other minerals.
And the nice thing I love about your salt is it's got a softness to it. It's not like that really hard, brittle, crystalline salt that we're very often we're used to. It's soft and delicate, just kind of melts in the mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know what I'm finding is a lot of my professional users are using less salt. David at Royal Bay Bakery is saying he's using about 30% less because of the strong flavor.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're all really concerned with our sodium levels, and now, ta-da, we've got a stronger tasting salt and you can use a little less, and that's good for health too.
It's the evening before the wedding, and I've got to prepare food for 100 guests. Luckily, I've got some help. Whole wheat potato gnocchi with heirloom tomato and organic vodka sauce. Moroccan hazelnut roast with rhubarb gravy, roasted local vegetables. Delicious. At least that's what I think. Let's hope the wedding guests agree. So here we are, Beth and Cedars. The big day has finally arrived. We're all packed up, ready to go, and now we get the job of unloading. And at the end of the day, the verdict?
The potato orange things, those are really good.
The rhubarb gravy. I'm used to gravy being turkey gravy, and this was different but really exciting.
Hazelnut loaf thing with the gravy, delicious.
I really enjoyed it. It was so much of a treat from a regular, you know, meat and potatoes kind of meal. So it was delicious.
I looked at the menu when I first came. I was like, not this and not that. I'm like kind of apprehensive, but you go through the buffet, the hors d'oeuvres, and honestly, it was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. So my compliments to the chef and to the hosts.
Well, mission accomplished. I think Beth and Cedar got the wedding they were looking for, and I'm pretty sure that those meat eaters in the crowd were well taken care of. Today, we're absolutely delighted to welcome Arthur Vickers into the studio kitchen. Hi, Arthur. Welcome. Thank you for coming down.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, I understand you're not a vegetarian.
Well, partially.
You don't mind a little bit of
vegetables. I love my vegetables.
But they go well with meat.
Absolutely, they do. And fish.
Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to do a nut rissolet, which is basically everything you see on the table here is going to go into this dish. And it's a completely vegan, wheat-free, vegetarian dish. But I've been assured by people who are meatitarians that it's just as satisfying as meat.
I can't wait.
Okay. So the first thing we need to do is chop an onion, okay? So if you just take your onion, slice it in half like so. And then we're going to take one half here, lay it down flat. And then with the front of your knife, just make vertical cuts.
He's faster than I am.
How many fish have you ever caught?
A lot.
A lot? That's probably how many onions I've cut.
Okay.
And then turn it sideways, and then just drop the back of the knife down, and that's going to give us a nice little dice. Okay? And then that little bit of onion there.
Oh, this is great.
I've got a little pan on here with a drop of water in it. Okay. Meanwhile, we got some great local rhubarb, okay, from the valley. And with this, we just want to chop this down into little slices. And then this is going to go in with our onions, which have just opened up a little bit. And then a little bit of salt and pepper. I've got a little bit of diced red pepper here. So this is going to add us a little bit of sweetness to it, give it a little bit of complexity and flavor. That's about half a pepper. And then, of course, rhubarb is quite acid. It's quite bitter, so we want to sweeten that up. So I've got a little bit of, again, local honey. So we'll just give that a little shot of honey in there, probably about a tablespoon's worth. And that's pretty much it. We're just going to let that cook until the rhubarb becomes nice and liquidy and breaks down. Keep an eye on it. If it dries out, you can just add a drop of water to it. So with the rest of these onions, you can just take your knife, and now we want to slice these. We want these to be onion slices. If you want to do the other onion as well there, Arthur, we're going to use all of this. We've got quite a lot of onion in here. Whenever you're doing vegetarian cooking, because you don't have the prominence of meat, you need to have very bold flavors. You really want to get that caramelization of the onion. So nice, deep, dark brown color.
Oh, they look great.
And that's those sugars. So then with our garlic here, put your knife on the side and give it a good...
Oh, wow.
That's it. And that just opens up all that garlic, and you can see all the beautiful garlic oils on the board. And then you can just give it a little run over with the knife just to break it down. And all of that can go into our pan.
How's that?
That was perfect. Done like an expert there, Arthur. Done like an expert. And then we got ginger.
Okay.
Now a little tip with this is you just take the back of your knife and just peel the skin off the outside here. And then we're going to do something very similar here. Okay? Again, take that piece of ginger, put your knife down, give it a good whack there. That's it. And we can get all that. And that's the easy way to mince ginger. And then I can take all of that there, do the same as we did with our garlic. Just break that one up. Little seasoning, as always, with everything we do. And then we need some spice. So this is where, as I said, we want some nice bold flavors in here. So we're going to use quite a lot of spice in here. So probably about a tablespoon of cumin. And for color, we want the paprika. Okay, again, about a tablespoon's worth. And you want to do about the same of curry powder. So that's going to, again, we're building some really good bold flavors in there. That looks perfect. Okay. And now we want to let that cook out and let all those flavors come together. Wow. And if it dries out a little bit on you, don't be afraid to put a little more oil in there. Okay. Now I understand you presented the previous premier of the province with quite a special piece of work.
It was wonderful. On behalf all of us in the province of British Columbia gifted a bent corner box cedar desk that I designed for the Premier's office. And it took over 40 months. It was just a wonderful thing to be involved in, and there were so many people that helped in the process to be able to donate this to the province of British Columbia as well.
So as you can see, I mean, all those flavors from the spices and the onions and the garlic and the ginger have all melded together now. And then we've got a little bit of tomato paste, which we're going to put in there. And again, about a tablespoon in there. And this part is quite important in as much as you really want to let that cook. So you can see how the tomato paste at this point is very red and bright. And as it cooks, it'll start to sort of mellow out and go more of a brick kind of color. So I've got it on a fairly high heat, and we're just going to let that cook out for a minute or two. So this is all cooked down. You can see the difference in color there.
Absolutely.
It's now much deeper. It's almost like, as I say, that brick brown rather than that bright red. So that's exactly what we want to get. Now our chickpeas, these we cook them ourselves. We use dried chickpeas. We soak them overnight in cold water and then just cook them in a little boiling salted water. Okay, and we want that liquid in there because that's going to help to give us a little bit of material to absorb all the flour, etc. Okay. Then we'll go in with our roasted parsnip, which we've just mashed up.
This looks good.
And then our hazelnuts, which I've toasted and skinned. So you can see how it's already coming together quite nicely. And we've got some raisins that I've just had soaking in a little hot water. That just kind of rehydrates them. And again, a little bit of that water, not too much. We can use these liquids as required during the combination process so that everything is the right consistency. It's much easier to add a little liquid than it is to take it out once it's in there. And then some of our beautiful sprouted beans. Okay, so as I say, we've got a couple of different kinds of lentils in there. We've got mung beans, we've got chickpeas. There's 5 or 6 different kinds of peas in there. So you can see how this is really sort of starting to build a real nice color. So now we just want something to bring it all together and to kind of bind us. That's where our chana comes in. So this is our chickpea flour. Just a sprinkle in there, a couple of tablespoons worth. And this is where you just want to sort of, depending how much liquid you've got in and how much chana you've added, you might want to add a little bit of liquid, a little bit of flour just to stiffen it up again.
Okay.
So this is where it gets fun. This is where we get to play with our food.
That sounds good.
Okay, the easiest way is just to get a nice big spoonful. Just take it in your hand and just shape it into you can either shape it into a ball or you can do it into more of a log shape, which is the true classic rissoles.
Into a log shape?
Into a log, just sort of roll it in your hands and lay that on the sheet.
That's wonderful.
Just like that.
You know, this is amazing because at this point we're working with feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's precisely what the creative process is to me. In gold work, it's much different than working with color and carving, because in carving you use different muscles. When I'm working in my gold work, it is very, very fine work that requires all feel.
Right. So what made you get into art in the first place? Where did it start?
As a young boy, when I was 5 or 6 years old, I'd watch my grandfather carving, and he would sketch from whatever vision he had of what he was going to carve. And he would do a fairly in-depth sketch of his vision before he carved it, and before he carved it out of the wooden block that he may have been working on.
Okay.
I just copied exactly what he did as a little boy, and he would encourage and support what I was doing by saying, perhaps if you tried it like this, grandson, it'd work a bit better.
So now what we're going to do, we're just going to basically cook these. So we're going to throw these into a 350 oven. What we want to do is we're going to strain our rhubarb gravy.
Okay.
Okay. And then what you want to do with this, Arthur, is really work that through. Just sort of mash everything so that the peppers break down, the rhubarb pulp gets pushed through, and that's going to give us the thickness.
How's that?
That's good. Here we go. I'm just going to give that a little, and that's all that should be left. Just that little bit of pepper skin, and there's where our thickener is going to come from.
Look at that.
So this is
that's a nice gravy.
And of course it's got that texture.
Yes.
Okay. That's gravy. So I'm going to put it back in the pot. Just bring it back to temperature. Meanwhile, I think our rissoles are done in the oven. So I'm going to let you do another one. If you want to do the same sort of thing there, just sort of put one on a diagonal, and the next one can just sort of stand up against it. What I like to do with the sauce, now again, we don't want to sort of hide everything, so we're just going to let the sauce run down the backside here, and just let it puddle at the bottom of the stack.
That looks wonderful. You first.
The thing I like about this is the texture, because there's so many different textures in there, from the the nice soft plump raisins to the quite hard, the very hard nuts, and then the lentils and the beans, which are sort of soft and in the middle there. Not bad for a meat guy, eh?
Oh, that is wonderful.
Arthur, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
And those are some of the tastes of the Cowichan Valley. Now, broccoli is not just about the florets. The stalk is just as good, based on the fact that brassicas have the same flavor throughout the whole plant. So there's our florets for whatever we want to use them for. With the stalk, we simply peel the bottom. You can slice, you can dice, you can cut it up, and use it just as you would any other root vegetable, such as carrot or parsnip. Here we are again with the inimitable Rod Phillips. Rod, this time we brought you a little bit of spice to jazz things up.
I like the gauntlet. I like the way you threw down the gauntlet of spice. And
I'm always there.
Oh, I see that all the time. And this is a really good challenge for wine. Okay. And here on the West Coast, we also get a lot of Okanagan wines, as you know. Yep. And there's some great varietals that come out of the Okanagan that really bring out some spice. So I've selected 3 wines here, all from the Okanagan, that will really bring out a different element of the spice. So we'll go with the first wine first. Okay. So this is the Tinhorn Creek 2010 Gewürztraminer.
Lots of citrus.
Lots of citrus, and Sandy has done a great job up there, and they want to bring out that real Alsatian style, which brings that spicy element to it and a little bit of lychee nut.
Wow.
Do you get that?
And it's not there, and then all of a sudden it comes through.
That's right. The trick to this wine is in the mid palate. And then as it finishes, it brings out the spice of the cumin. It'll even work with those raisins, so you just bring that real punch to it.
Yeah. Great choice.
Now, the second wine here, this is a rare one. This is a tough one to find. Roger Wong, who's the white wine maker at Grey Monk, he's got his own little pet project, and it's called Intrigue. This is the Intrigue 10, which is a blend of Riesling and Gewürz. So you're getting that pear and apricot that will go really well with the rhubarb, but you're getting the Gewürztraminer that brings out the spice again. Do you feel that wine?
I want to use the term duvet. It's sort of a nice soft covering, and then it just sort of warms you up.
Yeah, it sort of caresses you.
That's right.
Right, exactly, which what a good duvet should do. Now this is one of my all-time favorite wines from BC. This is the Lake Breeze 2010 Pinot Blanc. Really fresh.
I was going to say light, fresh, airy.
Oh, yeah, it is. This is just like the Mistral breeze coming through you, sitting on the palate. Oh, it's fantastic, which goes well with North Africa, of course. And again, the reason why I selected this wine brings out the liveliness, the tang, the freshness, brings out a whole bunch of pump right into the palate.
Any of those wines are just going to pair magically with this, Rod.
Inevitably, they would.
Inevitably. Thank you very much, Rod.
No worries.
Look forward to seeing you again next week.